Hey, it's Jeremy from OpticHouse.com. I think as I'm getting older, my emotional range is growing. Or perhaps it's my range of empathy. My wife and I were watching the Disney movie Lilo and Stitch earlier tonight, and my motivation for showing her the movie was twofold. One, I know her personality, I know the things that she likes, and I think she would think it's cute. Two is that we recently adopted two rescue kittens, Kachu and Khaleesi. Khaleesi is very shy. She's very sweet. She's not necessarily she's affectionate, but she's more like the kind of cat that will like to curl up at your feet or wait until you fall asleep and will curl up next to you as opposed to just coming and sitting in your lap. It's like she likes to be near you but not necessarily have you interact with her. If you turn and start giving her attention, petting her, she'll kind of, shy away and scurry off. Kachu, however, is a holy terror. We got her first, and so she got a little bit more used to us, so I guess she feels really familiar and has truly adopted us as her parents. She will just chew on your fingers. She'll run around the house tearing stuff up. She used to yowl in the morning when she wanted to be fed, which she doesn't do as much anymore now. So thankfully, we slowly kind of weaned her off of that habit. But I mean, even now, I can hear her scurrying around in the hallway, and she probably just heard me say her name, which will make her kind of poke her head in. But I'm actually recording this in the middle of the night, like 1 in the morning, and she is just, I don't know, playing with a ball or a piece of paper that she chews on. Not my art supplies, but I have like a stack of paper that's in a ream on the floor. She chews on that. Wow, boy, did I go on a tangent. Okay, so Lilo and Stitch. If you've seen Lilo and Stitch, Stitch is an alien biological weapon. He's an alien who is built to destroy. He's in a very cute, adorable, big-eared, floppy-eared package, but he's this nearly indestructible holy terror. And that's kind of how Kachu feels sometimes. Um, Let me see. I've actually completely lost track of whether I said for oh yeah, the first thing I said was that I knew her taste. Second thing was us recently adopting a cat. The third thing was Disneyland. I took my wife to Disneyland for her birthday not too long ago, and while we were there, we were walking around, looking at all sorts of different, rides. Look at Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and some of the other cuter characters in Fantasyland. And there was something there. I don't know if they had any Lilo and Stitch merchandise at the park. Yes, the movie is pretty old, but there was something there that reminded me of it. I think maybe it was some of the Star Wars stuff, and there were some alien creatures, and it reminded me of Lilo and Stitch. And so I said to her, "Oh yeah, have you ever seen that?" She was like, "No," and I was like, "Wow, well I know what I'm going to show her," and it was on Netflix, so we put it on. And of course, she really did love it. She thought it was cute. She immediately was like recognizing the Kachu in the Stitch and the Stitch in the Kachu. And I think that she would, if she could, adopt that alien too, which would be, we already got plenty we can handle with these two cats. We don't need this weaponized alien, cute alien running through the house as much as she would love it. But the emotional thing, the empathy. Now, I don't think I saw the movie when it was out in theaters, but I remember it being one of the more well-received Disney films that older kids enjoyed more. And something that a kid or a teenager would enjoy is probably more in my speed as opposed to the Disney films that are aimed at particularly young kids and they're very musical. Now, I definitely like more of the adventure and the sci-fi. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be emotionally accessible to a really cute story for younger kids, but the stuff that skews a little bit older is what I'm more likely to enjoy. And one of the things that struck me that it did not particularly hit me the first time I saw it was the emotional relationship between the two sisters. I mean, in the whole story, the whole thing is about having a family and how families are not necessarily traditional. They say that, the line that the older sister says to the younger, and eventually that Stitch repeats, is that this is my family. It's small and it's broken, but it's still good. Watching it with a few years distance, maybe it's been a decade since it came out, I really felt for these two sisters because the running subplot behind the aliens, the big struggle between the sisters is that their parents, the mom's not around anymore, and the older sister's kind of struggling to keep a job and hold on to her sister while Child Protective Services is constantly checking up on them. Because she's trying to keep her sister's all she has left for her family, and she is fighting to keep her family together. And you can see this young person taking on all of this responsibility, and it's kind of like a microcosm of the old TV series Party of Five, where it's the eldest child left to take care of the younger one, except it's just the two of them. But when you get to the end, the part, not it's not at the very end, but she loses her job. The older sister loses her job, can't find another one, and at some point, in the third act, basically Child Protective Services, comes and tells her, yeah, that I'm sorry, we're going to be taking her away. You are not fit to be the guardian for this child. And just the part when they're sitting in a hammock and saying goodbye without actually saying the word goodbye. She sings that, I'm not going to try and sing it here, but that Aloha, that Hawaiian song, that kind of like farewell until we meet again song, and it's heartbreaking. I mean, even now, the thing is, I don't tend to necessarily cry, but my voice gets really shaky when I get emotional. It's kind of like half gravelly, half about to crack. It's hard for me to get words out. And even talking about that scene now, it didn't strike me before emotionally how heartbreaking that is when you're trying to keep your family together and it's just being ripped out of your hands. There's nothing you can do. And I don't know if it's necessarily, maybe, I don't know whether it's maturity or what it is that I'm older now that I feel more. I feel more for the people around me. I feel more because of the people around me that things affect me more. Yeah, there's this growing sense of empathy that I have. And my wife and I don't have any kids. I know that for a lot of people when they're, in their 30s or approaching their 40s, being a parent is the big trigger for opening up a whole new realm of emotional access when you're seeing the world through your child's eyes. It's not an experience that my wife and I are having. We, I just, so I don't know where this is coming from, but I find it fascinating. And I think the reason why I wanted to share it with you is because it relates to storytelling in the sense that artists, creative people, we all mine our own emotional internal coil for the things that we create. How the world affects us it doesn't dictate what we create or even how we create, but it's instrumental in a very indescribable way. It can be something that's very, very obvious, where you can see that something that happened at an early age set us on trajectory for everything we make. It could be this weird, subtle thing that isn't even a theme, but still runs persistently through it, or it may change from piece to piece. But as I create more art, and as I struggle to learn how to create better art, to create better stories, a lot of what I think about is creating better characters. And a big part of creating character is being able to feel. And having experiences, reading stories, and hearing about things that are very different from my own personal experience. And still being able to empathize with them and feel for them and to internalize the feelings of others. I feel like that's a very, very valuable thing. And for a storyteller. And hopefully I can use that for good and not just to jerk tears out of you and emotionally manipulate you. That's it for now. Check out my website, optichouse.com. If you enjoy these videos, please share them. And also sign up for my weekly newsletter to get a free digital download and see what else I'm working on. And go be creative.